Case 1. I was serving as PM on a B767 during a takeoff roll in Okinawa. At 80 knots, I heard ATC instruct the landing traffic behind us to go around, which immediately increased my situational awareness because it suggested a possible separation issue. At 100 knots, ATC urgently transmitted, "Stop." I noticed the captain did not react instantly. Since I had already anticipated the threat, I decisively called "reject" in a clear and assertive tone to break the fixation. Once the rejected takeoff began, I monitored the RTO sequence, confirming speed brakes, reverse thrust, and braking, and I handled the radio communication. That experience reinforced for me that a first officer must stay ahead of the aircraft and be prepared to act as the final safety barrier. Case 2. In Cebu, while operating as PF, we were under pressure to depart before a runway closure SNOTAM became effective. ATC requested an intersection departure to expedite traffic. I recalculated the performance data and found that our actual gross weight exceeded the allowable limit for that intersection. I informed the captain that we were performance limited and recommended declining the intersection departure. We requested the full length instead. Although we departed slightly later, we operated fully within certified safety margins. That experience reinforced that performance data is not negotiable, regardless of operational pressure. Case 3. While taxiing at Chicago O'Hare as PM, I observed the captain beginning to turn toward a familiar taxi route instead of the non-standard clearance issued by ATC. I immediately called "stop" before we crossed the hold short line. Then I suggested we verify our position and pointed to the Jeppesen chart. We reconfirmed the clearance with ATC and corrected our routing. By identifying the habit pattern early and intervening in a structured way, we prevented a potential surface deviation and maintained cockpit discipline. Case 4. As captain on arrival into Seoul, visibility dropped below our authorized minima, with Cat 3 conditions developing. I applied the four-deck model. I gathered the facts. RVR was below minima and not improving. I evaluated holding versus diverting and assessed the fuel implications. I set a clear decision gate based on remaining fuel. When we reached that trigger point, I executed the diversion to Gimpo and confirmed our fuel reserves were intact. The structured approach removed emotion from the decision and ensured a safe and controlled outcome. Q1. If a captain ignores SOPs, I follow the CRM escalation model: inform, suggest, enforce, and take over. First, I inform the captain of the deviation. Then I suggest corrective action aligned with SOP. If necessary, I firmly reinforce the safety implications. If the situation poses an immediate threat to flight safety, I will take over control as a final safeguard. In a multinational environment, SOP is the common language that ensures safety beyond hierarchy. Q2. On final into JFK as PM, I observed the preceding aircraft was slow to vacate the runway. I monitored our closure rate and set a mental trigger for a go-around. When the safety buffer reduced beyond my threshold, I recommended an early go-around. Because the decision was anticipated rather than reactive, the maneuver was stable and controlled. Predictive thinking keeps us ahead of the aircraft. Q3. During B-77 training, my simulator partner struggled with Boeing automation philosophy. I spent additional time in the briefing room reviewing mode logic and sharing my mental models for automation awareness. I focused on process discipline rather than check ride results. By the final evaluation, his performance improved significantly. For me, leadership means strengthening the entire crew, not just performing individually. Q4. My biggest setback was not being selected for the fighter track in the Air Force. I accepted my assignment as a C-130 navigator and committed to excelling in that mission. Later, I applied the same discipline when restarting my pilot career. That experience strengthened my resilience and long-term consistency. It taught me that professional attitude and commitment matter more than the initial path assigned to you.